Now let's begin with adding commands. When we are discussing about adding commands, we are discussing about the modules part of PowerShell. Now this is the part where we will understand how learning PowerShell 1 is enough for you. You don't need to learn PowerShell for each technology that you're working on. For example, after completion of this course, you can automate anything or write scripts for anything using PowerShell like Active Directory, Exchange, or Citrix, IIS. If you're working as a SQL administrator, you can write scripts for anything. You don't need to go back and learn PowerShell for that particular piece of software. The only thing that will change, or how to manage that particular piece of software, will be understanding the modules. Now in this topic we are going to talk about how you can add more commands into PowerShell by importing snap-ins, which was the old way. Very few, or I would say I have not seen any recent piece of software for which they are using snap-ins. Nowadays everything is available as modules. Using modules, you can add more commands into PowerShell, like snap-ins was earlier used for the same purpose. Now we will discuss about the snap-ins and modules, how to make use of these things, and the profile scripts. In brief, we will discuss what is the profile script and why it is discussed along with the snap-ins and modules. So snap-ins, earlier when PowerShell was newly introduced, Microsoft has introduced PowerShell as a platform where it will not be limited to the number of commands which are available as part of PowerShell. You as a user or any third-party software vendor can introduce new commands into PowerShell, and these commands can be introduced as part of modules. Now what is a module or snap-in? It is a collection of commands specific to or not specific to, which can be used inside PowerShell. And module is, when I say specific, it is specific to the piece of software. All the commands related to that piece of software are bundled together inside a module and given to the end user. Now for example, if you want to manage Active Directory using PowerShell, you have to import a module for Active Directory. Now that Active Directory module will specifically have all the commandlets related to managing Active Directory using PowerShell. One second. My kids were creating nuisance. Sorry for that. Yeah. And when we talk about Exchange module will have all the commands related to Exchange administration. Similarly, IIS or SQL, any piece of software you talk about will have all the commands for managing that piece of software through PowerShell. Now there is a myth among administrators or among all the scripters that there is a different version of PowerShell available for anything that you see, like Active Directory, Exchange, Azure, IIS, which is wrong. There is only one PowerShell. And when we talk about PowerShell, whatever version of PowerShell which is installed on your computer, whether version 3, 4, 5, that is the only platform which is available. There is nothing such as Active Directory PowerShell is separately available. You don't need to install Active Directory PowerShell separately. It is just a module that you are importing into the existing PowerShell. There is nothing such as Exchange PowerShell. There is nothing such as Azure PowerShell. Whatever we talk, we are just talking about the modules for managing that piece of software. And you don't need to learn PowerShell again for Azure, for Active Directory, for IaaS or anything. The only thing that will change is name of the commands. That's it. Rest all concepts, all the fundamentals are going to be same. Now let's try to understand the difference between snap-ins and modules and how to make use of this. Get-ps snap-in is the command to show list of snap-ins. So currently there is only one snap-in which is available, Microsoft PowerShell.core. Now apart from this, currently there are no other modules which are, no other snap-ins which are available. This is showing the snap-in which is currently loaded into the memory. If you want to see list of all other registered snap-ins which are available for import, you can use get ps snap-in -registered. There is nothing else apart from what is already loaded. As I said, currently available on this computer which can be imported. So how to import the snap-in? Suppose you have a snap-in that you want to import. Add -ps snap-in and provide the name of that snap-in. Now whether it is snap-in or module, the ultimate result will be it will add more commands into PowerShell. Now when you run this command, get -command and pipe it to measure object, it is showing you a count. It is showing you the count of number of commands which are available on my computer. If you run this command on your computer, the number of commands will be different. You all can try this. Get command, pipe it to measure object. And you can ping me the results in the Skype chat window. How many commands are available on your computer? Please do that. I'm waiting for the input from all of you. Command is get command, pipe it to measure object. Okay, for Kiran it is 1657. Suresh and Sai, please share your numbers. Okay, for Sai it is 1819. Suresh, yeah, get command, pipe it to measure object. 485. Okay. Okay, now the question is, if you check the PowerShell version, even if you are all running the same version of PowerShell, the number is different. The number of commands on my computer, Kiran's computer, Sai's computer, and Suresh your computer, all are different. Why? Because the number of commands which are available on anyone's computer depends on how many modules are installed on your computer. And let's discuss about how these modules can be installed, listed, imported, and removed. Now the question is, how new commands can be added into PowerShell. So it is a three-step process to add new commands into PowerShell. First is you need to find out whether the software for which you want to add commands is available as a Windows component or it is available as a third-party software. For example, Citrix. Suppose you want to manage Citrix using PowerShell. Citrix is a third-party application, it is not a Windows component. So you can use Google for finding the appropriate piece of software for managing Citrix using PowerShell. Citrix PowerShell and download it. So there is a PowerShell SDK for Citrix available. You can find the appropriate version, download it, like the XenApp 6.5. There are two versions, 6.5 and 6. Download and install. What will happen after installation? Once you install, when you run this command, get hyphen module hyphen list available, it will show you the piece of software that you have installed available under the list of modules on this computer. Now when you run this command, what PowerShell does internally, where does it check? So it will check in certain folders. If there are any PowerShell modules available, so first folder it will check is your profile path. Under that there will be a folder under documents. The folder name is Windows PowerShell / modules. So under your documents folder, it will check under Windows PowerShell modules. Here you can store your own custom modules. If you are creating your own modules, you can store it here. That we will see later when we will discuss about publishing your script into modules. That is the final and last step in this course. How to create your own modules. We are not going to see that as of now. Then it will check under program files, Windows PowerShell modules. This is PowerShell's one of the default locations. Another default location for PowerShell to check modules is C Windows System 32 PowerShell version 1.0 modules. Under this path, C Windows System 32 Windows PowerShell version 1.0 modules, most of the modules for PowerShell will be found. But when you are installing Citrix will create its own folder under program files. But how PowerShell will come to know that it has to pick the Citrix modules from, for example, Citrix is installing the modules under C program files / Citrix / modules. How PowerShell will come to know that the Citrix modules are available under that path? PowerShell will always, now listen this and remember this, this is very important. PowerShell will always check in this folder $env colon ps module path. It will check this variable, and under this variable it will see what all folders are available. So there are 3 folders currently available. This is the first one, which are separated by semicolon. This is the second one, and this is the third one. So when you are installing a third-party software, that software will modify this environmental variable. Now if you want to see this list, you can split it using a semicolon. Now what that third-party software will do is it will add one more path under this. It will add its own path, C, program files, Citrix, modules. I'm just giving an example. Suppose you are installing Azure PowerShell. It will add one more folder in this variable, C, program files, Azure PowerShell, modules, something like that. So what PowerShell does, when you run this command, get module list available, it goes under each of these folders which are available under this environmental variable. It will check every folder and will find out if there are any modules. Now let me take you to one of these folders to show you where I am coming from. See here, under program files, Windows PowerShell modules, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folders. Now if you go back, check here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the modules. And under these folders, you will find the binaries or the source code of these modules. Now this pester.psm1, if you open this, it has all the source code of all the commands which are available under this module. Now we will discuss later in detail how to create your own modules, but for now just remember where and how PowerShell checks for these modules. It will always check under this environmental variable called env colon ps module path. It will check all the folders and their subfolders to find if there are any module files available for import. And when you are running this command, get module list available, it is scanning all those folders which are available under env colon ps module path variable and checking for the module binaries. Any questions so far? Are we all on the same page? Okay, when you are installing the software, it will come up with the wizard, right? Where you can choose where you want to install the software, right? So when you select an alternate location, that software installation wizard will update the PS module path variable automatically. You don't need to worry about that. Yes. And from there PowerShell will come to know. So the first step is installing that piece of software. Or sometimes, for example, Hyper-V. Do you install Hyper-V by downloading it from internet? No, right? How do you install Hyper-V? Or how do you install? Yes. So you turn Windows features on and off. From there I select Hyper-V. Now when I select Hyper-V here and finish this wizard, Hyper-V will install its module files under one of these folders, or if it is installing it in a different folder, it will update this variable env:/ps module path with the path where Hyper-V related modules are installed. Got it? And after that, when you run this command get module list available, you will be able to see Hyper-V modules also listed in the results. So first step is to either install the third-party software or install the Windows component for which you want the PowerShell module. That is first step. Then second step is using get module list available, see if it is available in the modules to be imported. If it is showing under the list of modules somewhere here, you can check the name of that module, for example PKI. Then you can use import module -name and give the name like PKI. Got it? Any questions? Okay, now after installing and importing, how to check what all commands are available from that module? Get command -module PKI. Similarly, when you import the module for Azure PowerShell, if you import the module for Hyper-V, use this get command -module Hyper-V or get command -module Azure PowerShell. It will show you all the commands which are available from that module. So yeah, go ahead. See, when something is supported by PowerShell, when you install that piece of software and run get module -list available, if that thing is available under the results, let me show you. Get module list available. If it is shown here in the results, that means it is available for PowerShell also. Got it? Okay. Now let me show you a fundamental difference between PowerShell version 2 and 3 onwards. Prior to PowerShell version 2, suppose if I want to run a command that belongs to a particular module, for example this secure boot, this command. So this command confirm secure boot UEF5. I don't care what that command does. What I want is, I want to understand how this module thing works in PowerShell. PowerShell version 2 and 3. What is the difference? Okay. Now, earlier what I have to do is, I have to first import this module, then only I can run this command, because this command is part of this module. So in order to run this command, I need to first run this, import this module. Similarly for SMB share, get SMB share. If I run this, in PowerShell version 2, it will give me error if I did not import this module before running get SMB share command. But PowerShell version 3 onwards, PowerShell has become intelligent. you don't need to first import the module before you run the command. Suppose now if I run this command get hyphen module without any parameters, it is showing me what all modules are currently loaded into the memory. These are not the modules which are available on this computer. These are the modules which are available in PowerShell's memory. There is a difference. These all modules are available on hard drive. These all modules are loaded into the RAM from hard drive, because during these examples I might have used any of the commands which belongs to one of these modules. Now let me run this get smb share command. Do you see smb share module available in RAM currently? No, right? It is not yet loaded into the memory. But with PowerShell version 3 onwards, I don't need to implicitly import it before I use it. I can directly use it. What PowerShell will do is, it will check all the modules and all the commands where it can find this command. In whatever module it has found this command, the command that you are trying to run, it will first load that module into the memory, then it will run the command. So you don't need to first import the module before you run the command. Now if I run this command get module, smb share is loaded automatically. But PowerShell version 2, if you do this, you will get error, command not found. You have to first import module smb share, then only you can run this command. So remember this. And one more thing, we have seen the examples about providers. So providers like Active Directory, IIS, when you run this command get hyphen ps provider, ps drive, by default you will not be able to see active AD or IIS drives. Even with the latest version of PowerShell, you have to first import the module, then only those providers will be available. But in case of commands, you can directly run the commands. Now when I use this command get hyphen module, it will show me the modules which are loaded into the memory. If I pipe it to remove module, I am just unloading it from the memory. It is not deleting those modules from the computer or the hard drive. If I run this command again get module, currently no module is available in the memory. If I run this command get smb share, hit enter. Now if I check again get module, two modules are loaded, because when I run this command, one of these commands which are available as part of this smb share module requires something which is part of this module. So all the dependencies will automatically get loaded. You don't need to explicitly load anything. You can remove the single module using remove module hyphen name smb share. smb share module is removed now. It is removed from the memory, not from the hard drive. And you don't actually need to worry about removing any modules unless you are running out of physical memory like RAM. If your PowerShell is working slow, there are too many things loaded into the PowerShell's memory, then only you should think about removing these modules. Otherwise you don't need to. You don't need to worry about. Any other questions? Now, discussing about, you might have seen when you install Active Directory on your computer, on the start menu you will see Active Directory PowerShell. When you install say Exchange, you will see the shortcut Exchange PowerShell. Those are not different versions of PowerShell. The only thing that they are doing is, when you click on that shortcut, they are running like this. Okay, let me show you from command prompt. So in PowerShell, you can use these options. Uh, this one. Okay. Now, when you go to the shortcut and check what they are doing through the shortcut, you will find that what they are doing is, they are using PowerShell hyphen command import module Active Directory. You will find the shortcut of Active Directory PowerShell from the start menu is actually running this import module Active Directory. So what will happen when PowerShell will start? Active Directory module will be already loaded into the memory. That is the only difference. Otherwise, there is no difference between the Active Directory PowerShell, Exchange PowerShell, or anything like that. Those shortcuts are just loading certain modules or running some commands before loading. Similarly, in PowerShell, if you want to load something at the startup, you can make use of profile scripts. So profile scripts are the scripts which are located at location for the user. The location of the profile script is documents, Windows PowerShell, profile.ps1. Now this should be exactly same. Under documents, Windows PowerShell, profile.ps1. Whatever you put inside this file will get executed in the beginning. Let me just open this file in PowerShell. Copy as path. Let me open it. Now, whenever I start PowerShell, you might have seen it shows this message, script executed successfully, and it goes into ctemp. So I have put these commands in the profile.ps1 file. Now if I close PowerShell and start it again, those two commands will get executed. See, it is into temp folder and profile script executed successfully. That is because it is stored inside this file profile.ps1. Now whatever command you put here will be loaded when PowerShell starts. Got it? So that's a brief description about profile scripts, where it can be used. So that's all I wanted to discuss as part of modules and adding commands. Let me know if you have any questions. Yeah. No, it has nothing to do with the profile. That is the default behavior of PowerShell. The commands that you are running will not be available in the next session, or the variables or the aliases. That is why inside profile script, if you want, you can create some aliases, or you can import certain aliases by running those import alias command. Whatever things you want to do on the startup, you can put it in profile script. Any other questions? Let me stop the recording.